because you're 7 years old. This is Edward Charles Green, the fourth.
You're forgetting your numbers.
Yeah.
Did you go up to Grandpa and ask him your question?
What was your first grade teacher? What was it?
My first grade's teacher?
Name.
Name? Remember. So I do remember now, Sister Theophila.
What grade was that?
That was in
High school.
6th or 7th grade. 7th grade.
What school?
That was St. Boniface
Wait,
in
what?
Rochester. And then it's funny, I can't remember the name of the teacher at 19 school when I was in the 1st or 2nd grade.
What do you like to do at recess?
What I'd like to do in recess,
Yeah, at recess.
when I was 2nd grade, I'd go out and have a cigarette.
And a beer.
I don't think we had recess.
Did you like to play sports or anything?
I used to like to play baseball, but I was
Kickball.
never on any school
do that,
teams.
Sit
Alright.
next to Grandpa.
So,
Do you have any other questions, Teddy, for your grandpa about when he was growing up that you can think of?
Did you have any pets?
What?
Did you have any pets?
Oh yeah, my first dog I remember was Mitchie.
Who was Mitchie?
Mitchie was a toy fox terrier.
And what'd your father do with Midgie?
I don't know what he
Didn't
did.
he have tricks with Midgie?
Oh yeah, he taught him tricks. To roll a barrel, jump through a hoop, and walk standing up with a pipe in his mouth.
Grandpa, what was your favorite special? Like art, music, PE, physical activities?
TVs?
PE.
Oh, PE. That was my favorite. I like getting out playing baseball in
Besides
the
that,
recess time.
Besides that, your favorite subject?
My favorite subject?
Yeah, like computer
I
class.
think probably history.
history. Did you, just for the record, they didn't have televisions back
I
then.
hated
did they?
diagramming sentences.
Did they have ask Grandpa if they had televisions?
Did you have televisions?
No television.
How about computers?
Yeah, no computers.
How about Stagecoach?
Yeah. I rode in a stagecoach.
Really?
No.
Did they have the trolleys back then in Rochester?
Oh yeah, he has streetcars.
They still used horses for,
Didn't Grandpa deliver
We had
ice?
delivery wagons. We had all my horses when I was a kid.
That's all I was gonna get to.
Not all of them, but the whole trucks were good.
John,
What'd your dad do?
what'd your dad do for a living?
He dried a brewery truck.
Stayed in the family, didn't
He
it?
also drove a 6-horse team delivering beer.
really?
It was during the war too, when gas was shortage.
World War
They
II?
wouldn't allow,
One.
yeah, World War II, they wouldn't allow gasoline to breweries. So they had horse teams.
Hmm.
I thought somebody delivered ice. No?
No, he
Oh,
delivered
but that's
that.
how we used to refrigerate with ice.
Well, you're a little too young for the Prohibition, weren't you?
Yes.
To appreciate or not appreciate.
Oh, no, he used to go to Dunnigan's. And Dunnigan's
But he was
an
a
old
child.
speakeasy.
Yeah, but he wasn't a teenager. He was more of an adolescent at that time.
Who
Oh.
was your best friend as a
I
child?
think Prohibition come off in 1933.
Then you would have been
President
6.
Roosevelt was elected.
Laura asked you a question.
Who was your best friend as a child?
My best friend as a child. Well, growing up when I was in grade school, like Jimmy Dunnigan. Just hang out with him.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Amon.
And that was out in the country?
I lived on Elmwood Avenue.
Elmwood Avenue then? And then there was also a time where one of the bosun mates on the cutter, Jackson, was you were friends with one of his sons,
Yes, yeah.
and so did they live near the river where the cutter was?
No, they lived on Columbia Avenue up in the city.
Oh, so he had a ways to go to work
Yeah,
then.
you had to take a bus or streetcar down,
Uh-huh.
down to Charlotte.
And about what grade was that?
That was probably around 1939.
We still talking about
I
his
was about
childhood?
12 years old then.
What was
Yeah,
that?
12 years old.
What happened at 12?
He was on, with the cutter, Coast Guard cutter Jackson. And
Used to
so,
play on the cutter on weekends. Go down
Oh, but you weren't working on it?
there. Oh, no.
No.
Well, my friend's father was a bosun's mate on there.
Do you think this influenced you towards boats, towards the rest of your life?
I'm sure.
It just seems like you've always loved to be around the water and boating.
Yeah.
So what was one of your fondest memories about growing up?
Don't have any. I don't know.
How old were you when you first ran away?
That must have been about 4.
No way.
And where did they find you?
Yeah, they found
Yeah.
me playing on a barge in the Barge Canal.
in the Erie Canal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Used to call it the Barge Canal.
Why'd you run away? Do you remember?
No,
They just told you about it, huh?
just a kid. Yeah, I don't even remember it.
Did you sell flowers as a kid?
No, that was Gordy.
What
So,
was your first job? Sorry, dear. Go ahead.
what was your first job?
Selling newspapers. Oh, yeah. Yeah, a newspaper stand on the corner of
How much were they?
South Avenue and Elmwood Avenue. They're 3 cents.
3 cents for a newspaper, huh?
What'd you get paid if you sold
I
it
got
for
a
3
penny,
cents?
penny for it, a penny and a half.
Well, that's not bad, half the profit.
That is pretty good, when you
Yeah.
come to think of
They
it.
don't get that now.
So what did you do with your money? Did you just go out and spend it, or did it have to go to your family, or what did you
I
do with
did.
it?
I did start paying my mother some money that she needed it. Yeah. But I used to buy my own things. Bought my own bike.
Uh-huh. And
Yeah.
how old were you when you had that first job?
Probably 12.
So you're, that was before high school,
Yeah.
and you went into high school probably around 14 years old, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
What high school did you go to?
Edison Tech.
Edison Tech, and you take any particular classes or just general high school
Yeah, I
class?
took electricity. Then I think I went into sheet metal after that.
And then what did you do after that? You still had the same friends?
Yep. Generally hung around with Jimmy Dunnigan and Tommy Heyman.
And then at some point in time, when you were 16, you quit school, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And how did that, talk about that?
Well, I just had to wanderlust. I started hitchhiking around the country. Went to Florida one time. Came back. I went down to New Orleans on another trip. Then I would come back. I was almost 17 then.
You rode the rails, didn't you?
And
Did you go by
hot
yourself?
freights, stuff like that. Hot
you go-
freights.
Did you go by yourself?
Got tractor trailer rides. That was mainly what we concentrated on.
Did you go by yourself?
No, one time I went with Tommy Hammond the first time. The other time I went with Jerry.
What happened with Tommy Hammond?
We were down in Florida. We got a job on this tugboat called the Pete Gillette. We were about ready to sail. They give Tommy money to go up and pay for the groceries, and they would deliver them. And Tommy just took the money and kept on going.
Uh-oh.
And they kept waiting for him to come back. Where's your friend? Where's your friend?
Did you
Finally
ever meet,
dawned on him he wasn't coming back, and so they fired me.
Oh, great.
did you finally meet back up with him?
Oh yeah, up in Rochester.
And what was his reason for his indiscretion?
I don't know. I think think he said he got homesick.
Was he still your friend after that?
Not too much after that. Oh, I did see him. He turned sort of a moody guy.
What about New Orleans? What happened to you going to New Orleans?
Oh, we got a job in the
How'd you get there?
fish site. First we went to Boston. Jerry and I. And we worked for the Boston City Hospital. And in the cafeteria. And we went there because we thought we would become fishermen. It cost over $100 to join the fishermen's union. I've been like telling me now it costs $100,000. So after a while we left Boston, we hitchhiked to New Orleans. We were 16, I guess. And I went to work for the charity hospital there as a gas therapy technician. They give me a short training. There's a war, there's a shortage of help, and they hire any live body.
What do you mean
They had a
gas
lot of
therapy?
responsibility then, huh?
What's gas therapy? Anesthesiology? Or?
Anesthesiology, well, it was I administer oxygen and the patients, you know, that had breathing problems. We had the iron lungs and oxygen tents. We took care of them, put the patients in them.
Where most of your
And
patients?
Jerry went in the mercury net.
Were you allowed?
I couldn't quite make it in because I didn't weigh enough. He had to weigh 130 pounds, but only about 120 something.
So
Jerry got in and you didn't.
to just smoke in there with all that oxygen and oxygen tents?
I don't think so.
So how long did that last?
Oh, I think I come home for Christmas in 1944, I guess it was. And then 45, the spring of 45, I went up, started sailing on the Great Lakes.
And how old were you then? That would have been 44. Would have,
I think I was 17.
You still
Just
missing a
turned
story
17.
out of there.
17.
What's the story from New Orleans?
He's got a
Or was I
story in there
16?
where he lost his clothes when he was jumping boxcars, for God's sakes, and he lost his clothes because they were bumping along the rails.
I was going to New Orleans.
He got down there with no clothes.
Uh-oh. So what'd you do?
Well, some friend had a tuxedo he wasn't using, so he let me borrow his tuxedo. I wore that day and night. Nice red carnation, phony carnation, and all that.
Boy, I bet you were hot.
Did you go down to Bourbon Street like that?
He was working in a restaurant in the kitchen with him wearing that. Washing dishes, weren't you?
Yeah, let's see.
Wash the dishes in a tuxedo. That's
so it was pretty hot down there too, right? I mean, this is before air conditioning and
Oh yeah,
sweltering in the summer, and
yeah.
especially for a guy from New
You didn't know
York.
any better.
So now you say you were the oldest and the other kids were still at home when you were doing all this?
Yes.
Yeah.
And what were they? You know, do you remember what they were doing, or getting
Going to school.
going to school?
Then you come back to visit. You said you came back for Christmas? In
Yeah. That,
44?
Did you write letters back to your mother and father, or did you give them a phone? Did they even have a phone at the time?
no phone.
They didn't have a phone, so you would have had to write them a letter. And then did you do that once in a
Oh,
while
yeah.
and wrote them a letter just to let them know what was going
I
on?
always kept in contact with my mother.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you, on the Great Lakes, what kind of, you get in the Merchant Marines there, some of the
Yeah.
Lakers?
Yeah.
What was the shipping line?
My first ship was the Yosemite for Cleveland Cliffs Iron Ore Company. As a division of Pittsburgh Steel,
So where did they load it?
U.S. Steel.
Where did they load the iron ore?
We used to go up into Minnesota.
And then
We bring it back down into the lower lakes.
in particular,
Lake Erie. Lake Erie.
Erie, Pennsylvania, offloaded it.
Yeah, we went to Chicago. I was only up there a few months, from April into July. a 45, and I went deep sea.
Now, what was your position on the ship?
Coal passer, coal burning fireman.
So it was big reciprocating steam engines, and
Yes.
you fed the boilers with coal, and
Right.
that was probably hotter in New Orleans.
Yes.
And so, what was like the living conditions? You know, what was your day as a coal passer?
Well, we stood 4-hour watches, 4 on, 8 off. And, worked in the fire room. Started off as a coal passer, getting the coal out of the bunkers for the firemen. Sometimes we had to trim the bunkers, go into the bunkers and rake down the coal so they can be shoveled out into the fire room. Then they used to have to sluice the ashes overboard. We used to have a sluicing rig there, water running through it, throw the ashes in there and then take them overboard. Lakes must be covered with ashes.
And what type of bunks did you have? And
Just single bunks.
single bunks? How many people to a room?
Oh, there might have been 3.
3 people to a room?
Maybe a watch would be in the room.
Were they bunks with mattresses and weren't hammocks? I take it.
No, there were mattresses.
Yep.